We are looking at a gossip landscape today that is, well, honestly, it's just a full-blown overnight detonation of absolute chaos.
Oh, completely. Like, completely leveled.
Right. You think you know where the drama's heading, you think you see this, like, slow-burning fuse creeping toward the powder keg, and then you wake up on a Friday morning to find that karma, unhinged divorces, and internet scandals have just torn the blogs apart.
It's toxic baggage everywhere.
It really is. So, babes, welcome back. We love you, we see you, and babes, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. And I have to say, the gossip gods clearly refuse to let anyone in our demographic actually sleep.
Never. We get no peace.
Opening the blogs this morning immediately signaled that we had a massive, massive amount of work to do today. It's almost like they intentionally wait for Thursday at midnight to just drop everything.
Why is it always Fridays? It's like they know we're vulnerable, we are exhausted from the week, our defenses are down, and boom, here is a multi-million-dollar real estate foreclosure wrapped in a designer label.
Exactly. Followed immediately by someone acting like a total menace in a pharmacy drive-thru.
Right. We had to jump on the microphones early today because the Snark Squad needs this breakdown before the weekend officially begins. There was simply too much drama waiting for us.
It's that classic Friday news dump phenomenon, just aggressively applied to pop culture. They think they can slide a scandalous divorce or like a DUI arrest under the radar heading into the weekend.
Oh, but they underestimate you, the Snark Squad.
Oh.
We are awake, we are heavily nourished today, and we are ready to unpack every single layer of this mess.
Heavily nourished is an understatement.
I need everyone to know that we completely switched things up this morning. We pivoted away from our usual iced coffee obsession.
We did. It was a big step for us.
Huge. Fruit smoothies are on deck, and we made elite, top-tier grilled cheese sandwiches. I'm talking avocado, ham, and goat cheese. Babes, this breakfast is elite.
I will say, from a purely analytical standpoint, adding goat cheese to literally anything instantly creates an aura of immense wealth.
Oh my God, yes.
It is a very high tax bracket cheese. It immediately elevates the experience from, a late night diner run to a bespoke brunch.
It changes the entire molecular structure of the sandwich. This might legitimately be the best breakfast we've made all month.
The avocado is doing a lot of the work, too.
So much heavy lifting. It creates this beautiful delusion of supreme health.
Yeah.
Like, I am eating bread coated in melted butter, but because there is a slice of green fat in the middle, I am somehow convinced that my cellular structure is healing.
It's the ultimate dietary placebo effect, and it sparked this massive debate between us in the kitchen right before we hit record. Like, are we basically wellness influencers now?
I mean, I think we are.
Because honestly, after consuming one blended fruit beverage and an avocado, I feel entirely qualified to sell a $40 adaptogenic mushroom powder to you guys.
I am practically ready to launch a beige aesthetic lifestyle brand.
I mean, how much scientific evidence is actually required to claim the title of health expert on the internet these days?
Zero. Absolutely zero evidence.
Yeah.
You just need a ring light, a matching workout set from Aloe Yoga, and the unearned confidence to tell people that drinking lemon water will cure their generational trauma.
I think the barrier to entry is terrifyingly low. As long as you speak in a very calm, hushed tone and use words like gut-brain axis and holistic alignment, the internet will just hand you a brand sponsorship.
Oh, 100%.
We are one green juice away from telling the Snark Squad to start sunning their perineums for optimal energy.
Please do not give me any ideas. But, okay, before we fully transition into our new lives as delusional wellness gurus, we actually have to survive our real-world workday.
Right, the actual jobs we have.
Yes, the highs, the lows, the absolute chaotic trenches of the dental offices. Because yes, for our new listeners, we are both dentists working at different practices, and somehow the actual dentistry is the least complicated part of our entire day.
Teeth are predictable. Human behavior in a high-stress clinical environment is not. And I know you had an absolute meltdown at your clinic yesterday that we desperately need to unpack.
Babes, the emotional damage was catastrophic. A coworker who is genuinely so sweet but maybe lacks digital spatial awareness accidentally started office-wide drama over a group chat misunderstanding.
Oh no, break down the anatomy of this disaster for me. What was the inciting incident?
Okay, so the office manager sends out a very bland, generic, almost corporate-sounding email to the entire staff list. Just standard housekeeping, like, the break room fridge needs a clean out by 5 p.m. Friday. Please remove your items. Simple, right?
It's a very standard.
Well, my coworker meant to forward this email to her work bestie with a highly critical, incredibly spicy take on our office manager's deeply unhinged Tupperware hoarding habits.
Oh, I see where this is going.
I'm talking a full paragraph read on how the manager leaves moldy lasagna in glass containers for 3 weeks.
Let me guess. The cursor hovered over the wrong icon.
She hit reply all to the entire staff list, including the managing partners of the dental practice.
That is brutal.
The email goes out, and suddenly the silence in the hallway for the next 20 minutes was deafening. You could hear a literal dental drill power down from 3 rooms away.
Oh, the sheer radiating awkwardness.
It was cinematic. Everyone reading this detailed assassination of the office manager's character while pretending to look at patient charts.
That is a phenomenal display of workplace self-sabotage. I almost respect the chaos. But see, my office drama was less digital and significantly more unhinged in a physical sense.
Wait, what happened?
Well, first, we had a patient bring in a bizarre, borderline creepy gift to the front desk.
What was it? Because last time you said this, someone brought in home-baked cookies that smelled like cat food.
It was a taxidermy squirrel.
Shut up.
I am dead serious. And it was holding a tiny child-sized toothbrush in its little rigid claws.
I would simply pass away. I would hand in my resignation, pack up my scrubs, and leave the state.
I know.
What possesses a human being to look at a stuffed rodent and think, ah yes, my healthcare provider will treasure this?
The psychology behind eccentric patient gifting is something I could study for a decade. I had to accept this squirrel with a completely straight face, thank them profoundly, and then proceed to analyze their molars while this dead animal stared at me from the counter.
That is deeply upsetting.
But that wasn't even the peak of the awkwardness.
Wait, it gets worse than a taxidermy rodent?
Oh, significantly. Someone who shall remain nameless, but let's just say they occupy a very similar job title to mine, managed to lock themselves entirely out of the primary clinical supply room.
Okay, normally this is a minor inconvenience. You find the front desk manager, you get the spare key, you move on.
But the gossip gods do not allow for minor inconveniences. This lockout happened literally 3 minutes before a completely unannounced surprise health and safety inspection from the state board.
No, are you joking?
Not joke, but
The adrenaline spike you just gave me is worse than 4 shots of espresso. What did you do?
we were aggressively texting the front desk, sweating through our PPE while trying to casually lean against the supply room door. We had to pretend to the inspector that we intentionally barricaded the room for quote-unquote inventory optimization protocol.
Oh my goodness.
It was the most wildly awkward workplace interaction I have ever navigated. We
Wow.
were speaking in pure corporate jargon to cover up sheer incompetence.
The panic, the lying. Honestly, though, dealing with surprise date inspections and taxidermy squirrels is actually the perfect emotional conditioning for our post-work plans tonight.
Yes, the main event.
Because, babes, it is time for rec basketball game number 6. And I need to be incredibly vulnerable with the Snark squad right now. I am still absolutely not built for this.
It is a profoundly humbling pursuit.
So humbling.
Every single week, we step onto that court hoping for a cinematic sports movie montage. And every week, we are faced with the harsh biological reality of our cardiovascular limitations.
I am somehow 6 games into this season, and I am still fundamentally confused about where I am supposed to stand on defense. I am just running in circles trying to look busy.
It's chaotic.
The emotional damage of stepping onto the court and being completely out of breath immediately during the layup line. It's devastating.
What fascinates me is the physiological paradox we experience. The warm-ups actually feel significantly harder than the game itself.
Wait, they do?
By the time the referee blows the whistle to start the first quarter, my calves are already threatening a strike and my lungs are demanding a renegotiation of our contract.
Right. During the actual game, you can at least hide in the corner and pretend you're setting a screen. In warm-ups, everyone is watching you miss a basic chest pass.
It's highly exposing.
But I have to ask you honestly, do you think we have actually improved 6 games in? Have we developed any functional athletic skill, or are we simply participating at this point?
I think participating is a very generous verb. I believe we are simply occupying space on a hardwood floor. Let's be real, the only thing keeping our team from completely dissolving into tears is the aesthetic power of our custom Snark side jerseys. The branding is elite. The actual basketball, non-existent.
Those jerseys are carrying the team emotionally. They are doing the heavy lifting that our hamstrings simply cannot do. I don't know if athletic greatness is still a remote possibility tonight, but we are going to show up, we are going to serve looks, and we are going to aggressively cheer from the bench.
That's the spirit.
But babes, as much as I love talking about our physical decline, we've got way too much Gotham to get through. So let's get into today's
Oh,
mess.
let's. Because if we're talking about people who are fundamentally out of their depth and scrambling to maintain an aesthetic facade, there is no better place to start than the crown jewel of Bravo mess right now.
Beverly Hills.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need to dissect Dorrit Kemsley's absolute chaos tour.
Oh, we have to start with the finances, because I am completely spiraling over the details in these legal filings. PK Kemsley is officially forcing the sale of their Beverly Hills home.
Which is dramatic enough on its own.
Exactly. But in the filings, he is aggressively slamming Dorrit for spending over $1 million on luxury items while their house was actively creeping toward foreclosure. Over $1 million.
Let's really analyze the mechanics of that financial delusion, because Dorrit recently addressed this, and her defense strategy is a fascinating study in cognitive dissonance.
What is her defense, even?
She basically argued two things. First, she claimed that the money she spent was her money that she earned independently, not his. And second, regarding the house defaulting, she stated that they had a financial agreement when they separated, and she simply didn't plan for the mortgage not being paid because he never brought it to her attention.
Okay, I have to push back on her defense immediately. I completely disagree with the logic that just because it's quote-unquote her money, it somehow absolves her of the reality that her primary residence is going into foreclosure.
It doesn't absolve anything.
You are legally married. The bank does not care if your Birkin bag was purchased with Bravo's salary money or PK's management money. If the house is in default, the walls are crumbling around both of you.
That is the crucial flaw in her narrative. It raises a massive logistical question.
Right.
How does a functioning adult continue to authorize six-figure expenditures on designer clothing, glam squads, and luxury accessories while remaining completely oblivious to the fact that the mortgage on the roof over their head hasn't been paid in months? It requires an almost pathological level of compartmentalization.
It's insane. It is literally the equivalent of sitting in a burning house, feeling the heat, opening your laptop, clicking add to cart on a fire extinguisher, but then getting distracted by a targeted ad and buying a Chanel brooch instead.
That is a perfect analogy.
The house is still burning, Dorrit.
But she has insulated herself in this Bravo reality bubble where optics matter more than equity. And speaking of capitalizing on optics, the irony of her new book release amidst this financial ruin is staggering.
The book drama is sending me into orbit. She has a new memoir out called Unburdened.
The title alone is a comedic masterpiece given the immense legal and financial burdens currently suffocating her estate.
Right. So someone asked her if PK had read an advance copy of Unburdened, and she looked dead into the camera and said that because of the publisher's strict embargo, she simply couldn't give him a free copy.
The audacity.
She said now that they're separated, PK has to actually go to a bookstore and buy the book himself.
Now, that is phenomenal petty behavior. But what's equally interesting is PK's posturing in the social sphere while all this legal warfare is happening. Let's look at Robert Earl's recent birthday party.
Okay, the Planet Hollywood founder.
Right. He had a massive bash, PK hosted it, and Lisa Vanderpump was in attendance.
And LVP and Dorrit famously despise each other now.
Correct. According to Dorrit, Lisa attempted to corner PK and pull him over to her side of the feud, but PK allegedly rebuffed her, telling Lisa, yeah, that's my wife, and shut the conversation down.
Wait, I actually find that deeply confusing.
Yeah.
He is publicly torching her in legal documents, exposing her million-dollar shopping habits to the press, but then defending her honor at a Planet Hollywood founder's birthday party.
It's all about ego.
The emotional whiplash of this divorce is giving me a headache.
It's because the legal battle is about asset protection, while the social battle is about ego. PK still views Dorrit as an extension of his own social standing. If LVP insults Dorrit to his face, it's an insult to his judgment.
That makes sense.
But Dorrit isn't just fighting wars with PK and Lisa. She is executing a multi-front PR war. We have to look at her Watch What Happens live appearance where she targeted Camille Grammer.
Oh, Camille. She had gone on a podcast recently and said the Bravo machine turned Dorrit into a monster. She specifically used the word unraveling to describe Dorrit's behavior during the PK breakup.
And Dorrit's counterattack was pure reality TV veteran behavior. She didn't get angry, she got condescending.
The best strategy.
She sarcastically dismissed the comments, saying, "Wow, how shocking," and then brilliantly pivoted the narrative by pointing out that Camille is the only person in the world that can resuscitate something from 10 years ago.
Which is a direct reference to their massive feud back in 2017 when Dorrit called Camille a highly offensive word at a dinner party. But Camille wasn't her only target. Dorrit also went after Amanda Francis.
Ah, yes, the real estate shade. Amanda had publicly claimed she was looking at buying Dorrit's heavily contested house.
Dorrit went on SiriusXM's Page 6 radio and absolutely eviscerated her. She called the whole claim cringe and explicitly stated Amanda isn't giving off authentic vibe.
Authentic vibes, okay.
Dorrit basically accused Amanda of portraying a fake, hyper-curated, wealthy lifestyle on the internet, which the hypocrisy there is thick enough to cut with a knife. And then Dorrit boldly stated, I don't think that B-word is going to be buying my house anytime soon.
The projection is fascinating. Dorrit accusing someone else of portraying a fake wealthy lifestyle while her own home faces foreclosure is psychological gold.
Wow.
And to add another layer to this paranoia, Dorrit is now accusing Kyle Richards of fully taking PK's side in the divorce. She called it infuriating, claiming Kyle knows exactly what PK is doing behind the scenes.
It is a masterclass in deflection. She is shifting the audience's focus away from her bank accounts and onto these interpersonal feuds. But honestly, Dorrit's real estate disaster isn't even the biggest PR crisis in Beverly Hills this week. We need to talk about Kathy Hilton.
The fallout regarding the 2026 West Hollywood Pride Grand Marshal role is a massive public relations failure for the Hilton camp.
It really is. Let's lay out the timeline for the Snark Squad. Kathy was officially announced as the Grand Marshal for the June 7th parade. It was supposed to be this huge celebratory moment, but almost immediately the organizers pulled the plug and dropped her from the event entirely.
The city officials released a statement saying they received thoughtful feedback from the community that ultimately led to the reversal. Now, let's objectively look at what that community feedback actually entailed.
Right, let's break it down. And just to be perfectly clear to our listeners, we are not taking any political sides here. Left, right, center, we are simply reporting the organizers' decision and the reality TV fallout without endorsing or condemning any of the political views involved.
Exactly. We are strictly analyzing the PR mechanics. So the backlash centered on a few specific controversies. First, there was significant outcry over her alleged ties to the MAGA movement and Donald Trump.
Right.
And secondly, the community brought up the lingering unresolved allegations from the Real Housewives cast trip to Aspen, where Kathy was accused of using a homophobic slur during a meltdown.
Right. And just to contextualize that Aspen trip, Erica Jane publicly backed up the claim that the slur was used, while Kathy has continually vehemently denied it ever happened.
It's a messy situation.
The organizers basically looked at this cocktail of political backlash and past allegations and realized the optics of having her lead a pride parade were completely untenable.
Again, we're simply reporting the sequence of events. The internet reaction to the political ties and the Aspen allegations created a PR firestorm that the organizers couldn't ignore.
It was too much.
When you compound those specific controversies with her other ongoing legal issues, like the fact that she is currently being sued for $55,000 by a woman named Kimberly Heffington, who alleges she was injured at a charity estate sale hosted by Kathy Her public image is incredibly fragile right now.
Fragile is a perfect word, and Kathy's response to getting dropped was so telling. It wasn't a fiery clapback. It was a very quiet, very restrained statement where she simply said she was honored to have been considered.
It is a full tactical retreat by her PR team. They know they cannot win a war of public opinion on this right now.
Totally.
Speaking of people trying to control public opinion, if we move down the California coast to Orange County, we are seeing a fascinating exposure of how network PR machines actually operate behind the scenes. We need to dissect Katie Janella's recent podcast revelations.
I am so invested in this because Katie is off the show, but she is absolutely refusing to go quietly into the night. She went on her Bravo's Most Wanted podcast and issued a direct threat to Emily Simpson.
Katie claims she is sitting on real juicy storylines that production chose not to air during season 19. She explicitly stated that this unaired footage will prove to the audience that Emily is trash.
And the specific accusation Katie is making is wild. She claims that Emily fully orchestrated that entire polygraph test episode specifically to manipulate the narrative and make Katie look like a liar to the audience.
Which is a very heavy accusation against production as well.
But here is the part that made my jaw drop. Katie alleges that the Bravo PR machine actually contacted her while the episodes were airing and asked her to protect Emily.
Let's analyze the mechanics of that request. Katie recalled the network reaching out and saying, hey, maybe do you want to put out something that says, please don't send any hate to my cast members?
Wow.
They wanted her to act as a human shield for Emily, Jen Pedranti, and Gretchen Rossi.
Which I find completely infuriating. I have to push back hard on the network's strategy here. Why in the world is it the responsibility of the cast member who is actively iced out and bullied on screen to do damage control for the women who orchestrated her downfall?
It makes no sense.
Katie's response was perfect. She basically said, "Why is that my job? My only regret is giving these women grace when they gave me absolutely none."
It reveals a very dark side of reality television production. Networks mandate conflict. They hire these women specifically to fight, to orchestrate takedowns, and to generate parasocial rage within the viewing audience.
Because that rage translates to ratings.
Precisely. But when the audience's vitriol becomes too intense, the network suddenly cares about duty of care and tries to force the victim of the on-screen bullying to calm the fans down off-screen. It's an incredibly manipulative cycle.
Yeah.
They want the profit of the toxicity without the liability of the fallout.
It's so hypocritical. You can't edit a show to make someone look like a villain and then beg the other cast members to tell the fans not to treat them like a villain. It's madness.
Pure madness.
But babes, if we want to talk about true, unadulterated madness, we have to leave the West Coast. We are transitioning away from Bravo's real estate delusions and heading straight into the East Coast territory of Summer House in the Valley. And let me warn you, this segment is where the ultimate icks reside.
Oh, the icks are monumental today. Let's begin with the saga that has consumed the Bravo universe. Amanda Batula, Wes Wilson, and the phenomenon currently being dubbed Scamanda.
I am still loudly, aggressively frustrated over this entire situation. The reunion aired. Wes's behavior was exposed as completely cowardly. The fans were firmly on Ciara's side. And then what does Amanda do?
She books a flight.
She goes to Rome with Wes Wilson. They jetted off to Italy,
Huh?
completely ignoring the massive fan backlash.
It is a blatant disregard for the audience's emotional investment in the narrative, and even Danielle Oliveira, who tries to stay somewhat neutral, went on the record with Decider to condemn the trip.
Good for her.
Danielle stated plainly that Amanda shouldn't have gone and that she desperately needs to learn how to do things independently.
Danielle was trying to be diplomatic, saying she doesn't give up on people. But she noted Amanda has a ton of growing to do. And Danielle firmly stated she does not want the Amanda and West coupling in her face on their new spin-off show in this city.
I don't think anyone wants it in their face. But you know who had the absolute best, most surgical breakdown of this entire romantic disaster? Nick Viall.
Who would have thought that a former Bachelor lead would deliver the most poignant, analytical, Substack essay of the week?
It was incredibly self-aware.
It was incredible. He wrote this deeply fatherly take. Nick, who just had a 2-year-old and has twin girls on the way, said he was watching the Ciara, West, and Amanda dynamic through the lens of a father trying to figure out how to protect his daughters from men exactly like West.
Nick's theory is a masterstroke in dissecting modern dating mechanics. He essentially argues that Ciara is the archetype of someone who shows up. She is willing to invest in something genuine, she communicates clearly, and she doesn't demand immediate guarantees. But Nick rightly points out that simply being a good, honest person doesn't act as a shield. When genuine empathy collides with male inconsistency, the result isn't a balanced compromise, the result is toxic ambiguity.
And ambiguity is the exact trap. It's the waiting room where people stay for months hoping the other person will finally make a decision. Nick completely eviscerated West's behavior, labeling it textbook F-boy mechanics.
Because Wes never cleanly closed the door with Ciara, he didn't say, "I am not interested." Instead, he kept the door wedged slightly open.
Right.
Nick defined this as protecting his access. West wanted the benefits of Ciara's proximity and attention without having to make an actual emotional or public investment. Nick warned his daughters to recognize the specific moment a relationship crosses from mutual exploration into a parasitic, one-sided investment.
I actually have a slight pushback on Nick here, though. While his analysis of West is completely accurate, isn't Nick kind of projecting his own past reality TV behavior onto the situation?
Oh, absolutely.
Nick spent years on television exploring ambiguity with multiple women. It's a little rich coming from him, even if the essay itself is spot on.
Oh, it is absolute projection. But sometimes it takes a retired architect of ambiguity to perfectly identify the blueprints of a new grift. West is just running the plays that guys like Nick invented a decade ago.
That is painfully true. But look, while I am furious at Amanda's choices in men, I am equally traumatized by her choices in hairstyling. We have to discuss the Summer House reunion hair.
The highly polarizing, structurally confusing half pony, half bun.
It was a crime against formal wear. You were sitting on a reunion couch, the lights are bright, the stakes are high, and she showed up looking like she clipped her hair back with a claw clip to wash her face in the sink.
It was certainly a choice.
The Bravoverse dragged it endlessly on Twitter and Instagram.
And yet, her hairstylist, Olivia Halpin, made a deeply chaotic PR decision. Instead of ignoring the backlash, Olivia waded directly into the Instagram comments to defend the structural integrity of the bun.
Why would she do that?
She fully claimed ownership of it, posting a photo with the caption, "The bun you love to hate."
It takes a staggering level of bravery, or perhaps delusion, to publicly claim credit for a hairstyle that the entire internet is universally panning. The comments were brutal.
I saw them.
Fans were writing, wait, she paid actual money to have this done. Another person asked, if she booked you for an hour, what did you do with the remaining 56 minutes?
The internet remains undefeated in its cruelty. Though I will note, she did receive one solitary voice of support from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's Bronwyn Newport, who commented, "I love your buns." It was a tiny life raft in a sea of follicular criticism.
Well, the hair might have been a tragedy, but Ciara Miller's postseason behavior has been utterly flawless. And we got this amazing Bravo crossover moment involving Ciara at the Las Culturistas Culture Awards.
Yes, Candiace Dillard Bassett from Potomac recounted her encounter with Ciara and Mia Calabrese on her podcast, and the interaction was incredibly telling.
It was so icy. Candiace said she ran up to Ciara full of energy, praising her, telling her she absolutely killed it at the reunion and handled West perfectly.
Yeah.
And Candiace said Ciara just looked at her and gave her a very dry, monotone, okay. Yeah.
The ultimate dismissal.
Candiace was spiraling. She said she walked away wondering if they had secret beef or if she had somehow offended Ciara in a past life. But then Candiace dropped a detail that shattered my perception of reality.
What was it?
She said Ciara is shockingly petite in person. Candiace is notoriously tiny, and she said she was almost taller than Ciara when they were both in heels.
It's the visual deception of television. The camera doesn't just add 10 pounds, it creates an illusion of commanding height and physical mass, especially when someone possesses a very dominant on-screen energy like Ciara.
It's so true.
Candiace also took a moment to praise Mia Calabrese's facial expressions during the reunion couch moments, specifically calling her the friend we all need.
Mia's face, during the Amanda and West confrontation, was the physical embodiment of the viewing audience. She was disgusted, confused, and riveted all at once. But speaking of men who inspire sheer disgust, let's pivot to the Valley.
Oh, boy.
Because if West Wilson is an F-boy avoiding commitment, Brandon Hansen is the reigning king of financial and medical red flags.
The details surrounding Brittany Cartwright's split from her rebound guy, Brandon, are essentially an academic study in the concept of the ick. It is a cascading failure of basic human decency.
I am screaming over the details she revealed on the show. Brittany actually admitted that she gave Brandon money to come take care of her after she had her mommy makeover surgery.
Let's track the logistical nightmare of this arrangement. Brandon travels nearly 200 miles to be by her side post-operation. Because he has to take time off work to do this, he has the audacity to ask Brittany for financial compensation for his lost wages.
The audacity.
Brittany, who is in a highly vulnerable, medicated post-op state, agrees and literally pays him to be her caretaker.
And what does this man do with the money she just handed him? He goes out and buys her a bouquet of flowers.
Incredible!
Which is traditionally a romantic, thoughtful gesture, except he is using the exact cash she just transferred to him. It is a hollow, performative act of affection funded by the patient herself.
It's financial laundering disguised as romance, and while he is busy orchestrating this meaningless floral arrangement, he completely spectacularly fails at his actual contracted job, which is being a caretaker.
Exactly. Brittany is in excruciating pain from major surgery, and he continually delayed going to pick up her prescription pain medication. The man could not manage a simple, basic trip to the Walgreens drive-thru.
I have to pose this question to you and to the Snark squad listening. Could you ever, in your wildest imagination, stay in a relationship with a man who fumbled the most basic pharmacy logistics while you were recovering from surgical trauma, and then attempted to buy your love with your own money?
Absolutely not. If you cannot execute a left turn into a Walgreens parking lot when I am in pain, you are dead to me. It is the absolute dictionary definition of an ick piling onto another ick. Brittany summed it up perfectly when she said, I just feel like that I asked the bare minimum.
When a partner consistently fails to clear the hurdle of the bare minimum, especially in a healthcare scenario, the relationship is structurally doomed. There is no coming back from the Walgreens failure. It reveals a fundamental lack of protective instinct.
It's repulsive, but unfortunately, financial manipulation seems to be the underlying theme of the Valley. Because Michelle Sané just issued a massive, blaring warning siren to Lacey Nicole regarding Jesse Lally.
Michelle finally exposed the depths of Jesse's financial instability. She revealed that Jesse took out a secret $300,000 loan during the COVID pandemic,
300,000.
a sum she explicitly claimed she had no idea was that massive. In order to expedite their excruciating divorce, Michelle agreed to swallow half of that debt. And armed with this knowledge, Michelle cornered Lacey at Zach Wickham's housewarming party to issue a warning.
Michelle looked Lacey dead in the eyes and delivered a chilling prophecy. She said, "You've tried to break up with Jesse 100 times and he's not letting you go because you have that money girlfriend he will propose."
It's terrifying.
She is telling Lacey that Jesse isn't clinging to her out of love, he is clinging to her out of fiscal desperation.
And Lacey's response to this severe, documented financial warning was utterly bizarre and steeped in delusion. She completely brushed it off, stating she doesn't believe in marriage and never wants to be married again because her first big wedding was, in her words, embarrassing.
Which completely misses the point. Michelle isn't warning you about a wedding aesthetic, she's warning you about a parasite. And then, when Lala Kent chimed in to bring up the hefty price tag of modern weddings, Lacey just breezily waved her hand and replied, "Well, I don't care about that. Money flows."
Money flows. That is the exact phrase a financially insecure, debt-ridden partner like Jesse desperately wants to hear. It signals that the vault is open and unguarded.
Exactly.
Michelle is essentially standing there predicting a financial grift in real time, and Lacey is just leaving the front door wide open.
It's like watching a luxury vehicle drive off a cliff in slow motion. You want to look away, but you can't. But speaking of absolute disasters we can't look away from, we need to transition away from Bravo's relationship messes and dive into the feral, unhinged chaos of dating shows and network reality TV. Babes, we have to talk about the Love Island universe.
The premiere of Love Island USA Season 8 was highly anticipated, but it was immediately derailed by a massive, highly publicized ejection before the first episode even finished airing.
Vasana Montgomery. She was swiftly removed from the villa right before the premiere. The internet detectives got to work, and old videos surfaced of her playing an arcade game with a friend, and she is clearly heard screaming a racial slur. The footage spread like wildfire.
She did attempt a rapid PR salvage operation. She issued a lengthy apology on Instagram, stating the videos were recorded during her teenage years. She expressed deep embarrassment and claimed she has taken the intervening years to listen, learn, and better understand the impact that language can have.
But, as we always say, the internet is written in ink. You cannot outrun a digital footprint that explosive.
And what is truly fascinating here is the mechanical failure of the network's vetting process. Production sources leaked to the press that these specific clips were supposedly private and therefore not accessible during their standard, rigorous background checks.
I have to ask, how does that actually work? How do networks miss something that the internet finds in 12 hours?
It highlights the escalating arms race between reality TV casting departments and the digital histories of 20-something contestants. Networks use third-party firms that scrape public data, social media APIs, and criminal records. But they cannot legally compel a contestant to hand over access to private group chats, locked Snapchat vaults, or anonymous burner accounts. So the moment the cast is announced, the internet crowdsources the background check. An angry former classmate or a jealous ex with access to those private files will always leak them. The networks are constantly playing a losing game of whack-a-mole with their own cast's past.
It's wild. They spend millions on production, but get tripped up by a 5-year-old iPhone video. But Vasana's ejection isn't the only thing setting the internet ablaze regarding Love Island USA. We have to talk about the new islander, Bryce Detloff.
Bryce is a 26-year-old model and handyman, and his entrance has triggered a massive viral visual comparison.
The algorithm is completely obsessed with this. People on social media are posting side-by-side photos, claiming they have to do a double take every time he is on screen. The tweets are going viral, saying that Bryce is the reincarnation or the secret twin of the late political influencer Charlie Kirk.
It's all over my timeline.
Someone even used AI to mold their facial structures together, and the geometric resemblance is genuinely uncanny.
And to be clear, we are observing this strictly as a viral pop culture phenomenon. We are not making any political statements here. The internet's reaction to facial geometry and visual similarities is driving massive engagement for the show.
Exactly.
The tweets are purely focused on this bizarre visual overlap between a reality dating contestant and a well-known public figure.
It's just the internet doing what the internet does best, which is hyper-fixating on a random detail.
Yeah.
And Bryce is already getting swept up in the absolute chaos of the villa because producers decided to drop a nuclear bomb on the game theory of the show. Babes, they introduce a thruples twist.
It is a brilliant, ruthless modification to the established mechanics of the game. Typically, a bombshell enters and selects one person to date, creating a linear triangle of conflict.
Right, standard Love Island stuff.
But this season, they introduced Gabriel Vasconcelos, a 26-year-old Brazilian DJ who speaks 3 languages and possesses immense charm alongside Keita. The twist. They didn't just pick one islander, they each got to take 2 islanders on a simultaneous date.
Gabriel chose Beatrice and Trinity and took them straight to the hideaway. Keita selected Bryce and Zach. And let me tell you, the speed at which the established loyalties crumbled would give you whiplash.
No.
The islanders who were selected for these dates looked at their original partners, shrugged, and completely abandoned ship to explore their new options.
It accelerates the dramatic pacing exponentially. By forcing a single bombshell to string 2 people along simultaneously, production guarantees multiple simultaneous public rejections when the final choice is made.
It's so messy.
Ultimately, Gabriel locked in on Beatrice and Keita chose Zach. This ruthlessly left Sean and Kenzie totally vulnerable and isolated in the villa.
It is psychological warfare disguised as a dating show. But just to prove that romance isn't entirely dead and buried in the Love Island universe, we do have one tiny success story to report. Season 7's TJ Palma and Iris Kendall are somehow still together.
A true statistical anomaly.
They are actively surviving the long-distance relationship struggle between Tampa and Los Angeles. And TJ just confirmed on social media that they recently returned from a deeply romantic trip to Italy. So maybe the process works for 1% of the cast.
It is the exception that proves the rule. But while the US version is currently thriving on game mechanics, Love Island UK is navigating some incredibly dark, serious network issues behind the scenes.
Yeah, the tone shifts dramatically here. News broke that an unnamed former Love Island UK star, who's in his 20s, was arrested again for perverting the course of justice.
The Metropolitan Police in London issued a confirmation that this arrest is tied to a much larger ongoing investigation involving horrific allegations of sexual assault, stalking, criminal damage, and physical assault.
It's so heavy.
This individual was initially arrested last November. According to the reports, he is suspected of threatening to share intimate photos and videos of the victim as a form of leverage, and he was rearrested after allegedly violating bail conditions by attempting to contact the victim.
It is absolutely chilling, and it reignites this massive, ongoing conversation about the dark cloud that seems to permanently hover over the UK franchise. And it's not just past contestants. The current season is bleeding cast members. George Knight, who is a football player, literally packed his bags and quit the show after just 3 days in the villa.
The network's response to George's exit was highly choreographed. ITV released a very brief, opaque statement citing private reasons for his departure. But crucially, they specifically mentioned their duty of care protocols regarding George and then absolutely refused to comment any further on the matter.
When a massive network like ITV invokes the phrase duty of care that quickly, it sends a very clear signal to the press, right?
Yes. Duty of care is the legal and public relations shield networks developed after facing intense scrutiny over the mental health crises of former reality stars.
Makes sense.
When they use that exact phrasing regarding a sudden exit, it almost always signifies that a significant behind-the-scenes incident occurred. It's usually either a severe mental health crisis, a psychological break under the pressure of filming, or an off-camera altercation that breached safety protocols. They are legally covering themselves by stating they prioritized his well-being over the production schedule.
It is a stark, depressing reminder of the actual human toll these heavily produced isolation shows take on a person's psyche, which naturally leads us into a very serious, very emotional update regarding a true legend in the reality competition space. We need to talk about Ken McNichol from Survivor Season 33, Millennials versus Gen X.
Ken, who was the runner-up of his season and incredibly beloved by the fan base, recently revealed on his Instagram that he has been diagnosed with cancer at the tragically young age of 43.
It completely broke my heart to read his post. He was so vulnerable. He admitted that he had actively neglected his health for a long time.
He's very open about it.
He detailed how his skin was literally starting to tear open and fail to heal. And yet he ignored those severe symptoms for almost an entire year before finally seeking out a medical specialist. His entire post was a desperate plea, urging anyone with a lingering health concern to swallow their pride and get checked immediately.
It is a tragic reflection of the post-show reality for these extreme competitors. They go on Survivor and they push their bodies to the absolute brink of starvation, physical exhaustion, and elemental exposure.
Right.
They learn to ignore pain and discomfort as a survival mechanism in the game, and sometimes, dangerously, that mentality bleeds over into their real lives.
That is such a profound point. They are conditioned to ignore the warning signs.
And if we look at the broader context of Ken's specific season, Millennials versus Gen X, it is deeply affected by this disease. Sunday Burquest, a wonderful contestant from that season, tragically passed away from ovarian and esophageal cancer in 2021.
I remember that.
And Adam Klein, who actually won the season, was dealing with the immense trauma of his mother battling stage 4 lung cancer while he was filming on the island. It just relentlessly underscores the fragility of life outside the highly controlled, gamified environment of a reality television production.
It really snaps everything into perspective. We get so caught up in the petty drama, and then reality hits. Ken said he is fighting this battle for his daughter, and the Snark squad is absolutely sending him and his family all of our love and strength right now.
Truly. Now, to pivot to a slightly more bizarre industry-focused note regarding the Survivor universe, the concept of network crossover synergy is reaching entirely new, somewhat dystopian heights. Mr. Beast, the biggest creator on YouTube, has officially collaborated with Jeff Probst.
This blew my mind. Mr. Beast is producing this massive Beast game show for Prime Video. And they actually flew out and filmed an episode in Fiji using the official Survivor crew, the iconic tribal council sets, and the exact same camera angles. It's like a simulation glitching.
And Mr. Beast is now publicly teasing that if Amazon doesn't want to expand the universe, he has crazy ideas to independently fund and produce a massive Beast Games feature film.
Wow.
The sheer ambition and financial power of a YouTube creator seamlessly infiltrating and utilizing the infrastructure of legacy network television is wild.
It completely blurs the line between internet content and traditional broadcasting. Speaking of traditional broadcasting, we have a quick but major update for our Canadian Snark Squad listeners. Big Brother Canada is officially rising from the ashes.
After being unceremoniously canceled in 2024 following 12 seasons, the network has reversed course. It is slated to return in 2027 on Crave and CTV.
Yes, but there is a massive catch. It's coming back without the iconic Arisa Cox. The network announced the new host will be Andrea Bain from the daytime talk show The Social. It truly feels like the end of an era for the superfans, but at the end of the day, the game survives.
Which brings us to our final transition of the day. We are leaving the islands and the villas, and we are bringing it home with the absolute, undisputed royalty of the trash fire genre. We are talking about MTV legends, shocking mugshots, and the most deeply toxic radioactive divorces currently polluting the reality TV sphere.
Babes, the public relations nightmares coming out of the teen mom universe are keeping me awake at night. I am deeply emotionally invested in the complete implosion of the podcasting empire between Cale Lowry and Lindsay Chrisley. Cale has officially publicly dropped Lindsay from their massive Coffee Convos live podcast tour.
And the catalyst for this professional severing is no secret. It revolves entirely around Lindsay's recent, highly publicized DUI arrest in Georgia.
The details listed in the police report are pure chaos. The arresting officer clocked her driving 86 miles per hour. And just to be clear, she was not going 86 in a 90 zone. She was going 86 in a standard speed limit zone.
That is significant.
The official report documents that she was heavily slurring her words. She smelled strongly of alcohol. And this is the kicker. She allegedly fled from the police cruiser that was attempting to pull her over.
Fleeing the scene elevates the severity exponentially. And now her legal team is executing a very aggressive classic defense strategy. They are filing a motion to completely suppress the evidence of the arrest.
What are they arguing?
Her lawyer is arguing that the police conducted an illegal search without proper probable cause, utilized excessive force during the detainment, and executed the warrant unreasonably.
It's the throw everything at the wall and see what sticks legal defense. But honestly, what is more fascinating than the legal maneuvering is the audience's visceral reaction. The fan base is revolting.
I have been scrolling through the fan reviews of the Coffee Convos podcast, and the listeners are systematically tearing Lindsay apart. The core issue isn't just the arrest, it's the deafening silence.
You want answers.
Listeners are absolutely furious that she is avoiding any form of public accountability on the platform they built. One particularly scathing review theorized that Lindsay will likely wait 3 years for the legal dust to settle, and then hypocritically put the story behind a paywall and charge fans on Patreon to hear her side of it.
The fans demand the mess be addressed immediately. They feel betrayed. The backlash got so severe that Kale Lowry had to step in and release a solo statement, basically begging the fans to understand that her silence isn't an attempt to sweep it under the rug, but rather a strict legal necessity dictated by lawyers.
When your co-host becomes a legal liability that threatens the bottom line of the tour, you cut the cord. But Lindsay isn't the only MTV alum currently putting their foot in their mouth and alienating their audience. We have to examine Tyler Baltier's recent attempt to clean up a massive rhetorical disaster on his and Catelyn's podcast.
This entire situation is so messy. It revolves around Ryan Edwards' wife, Amanda Connor. Amanda was recently arrested for a DUI, and the allegations state she was driving under the influence of drugs with their young daughter in the vehicle. It's a horrific situation.
And how did Tyler choose to address this on his platform?
He got on the microphone and somehow made it entirely about himself and Caitlyn. He started complaining that society gives Amanda, a woman who actively endangered her child's life during an addiction relapse, more sympathy and grace than his wife Caitlyn receives when she expresses grief over missing her adopted daughter Carly on her birthday.
It is an astonishingly tone-deaf, logically flawed comparison.
I was screaming at my phone when I heard it. Tyler has this pathological need to constantly center his and Caitlyn's specific trauma in situations that have absolutely zero relation to them. The backlash he received was so swift and intense that he had to immediately post a lengthy Instagram story trying to backtrack.
What does he say?
He claimed he wasn't comparing addiction to adoption, but was merely trying to point out the societal and cultural differences in how empathy is distributed.
The fundamental flaw in his rhetorical strategy is that you cannot cleanly separate the specific acts from the abstract concept of empathy. Addiction is a recognized medical disease characterized by a biological and psychological loss of control.
Exactly.
Adoption, on the other hand, is a permanent, legally binding decision made by the parents, albeit an incredibly traumatic and emotional one. By placing these two distinct, agonizing realities on a comparative scale and demanding the audience decide who deserves more sympathy, he completely alienated his listener base. Empathy is not a finite resource that needs to be rationed.
Exactly. You don't have to tear down someone struggling with addiction to validate your own grief. It's just exhausting to watch and constantly play the victim Olympics.
But speaking of exhausting behavior that alienates audiences, I am absolutely spiraling over the Lil Wayne DMs that just leaked. Ah, yes. The intersection of multi-platinum hip-hop royalty and MTV reality trash. Rachel Beaver, from Teen Mom, Young and Pregnant, decided to leak her private text messages with Lil Wayne.
She posted screenshots showing Lil Wayne texting her, quote, "want you." He was repeatedly offering to cover all of her expenses to fly her out from a small town in Tennessee directly to Los Angeles.
Incredible.
And the messiest part is that Rachel actually DM'd him first. She sent him a message saying, "I won't say anything like the last one."
And we all know exactly who the last one refers to.
Of course we do.
It is a direct reference to the ultimate teen mom villain, Janelle Evans. Just 9 months ago, Janelle publicly claimed that Lil Wayne flew her out to Los Angeles, but she righteously claims she refused to hook up with him.
Lil Wayne clearly has a very specific, highly targeted demographic. He is scouring the MTV casting tapes from the American South for romantic prospects.
That's a niche market.
Janelle, of course, immediately jumped onto Twitter to insert herself into the drama. She shaded Rachel, posting, "Yet Def not doing that," in reference to leaking the texts. And what makes this entire saga so much darker and messier is that multiple outlets are reporting Lil Wayne just quietly got engaged to a 20-year-old woman from Indiana.
It demonstrates a profound lack of operational security on Lil Wayne's part. If you are going to solicit reality television personalities who literally make their living by exposing their private lives for public consumption, you cannot be surprised when your text messages end up on the blog.
It's just bad business.
Yeah.
But babes, if we really want to talk about messy family dynamics and bad business, we have to scale the tangled branches of the Mama June family tree.
This is undoubtedly the grossest, most structurally chaotic story of the week. Jessica Shannon just publicly announced that she is splitting from her wife, Cheyenne McCant. This announcement comes mere weeks after their lavish wedding special aired on national television.
And the catalyst for this rapid, spectacular divorce is what truly makes my skin crawl. Why are they getting divorced? Because they had a threesome with Pumpkin's ex-husband, Josh Efford.
The familial boundaries here are not just blurred, they are entirely non-existent. Pumpkin, who is Jessica's own sister, exposed this massive betrayal during the season finale of their show.
And Jessica and Cheyenne's defense was so weak. They claimed they only invited Josh into their bed because Cheyenne desperately wanted to get pregnant. But clearly, the emotional fallout destroyed the marriage because now they are rushing to divorce court.
What I found most compelling was Pumpkin's reaction on social media. She posted a TikTok video where she explicitly said she wasn't going to say "I told you so." But her entire visual demeanor, her posture, her facial expression, the smugness radiating from the screen was a masterclass in passive aggression.
Oh, she loved it.
Her face was screaming, "That is exactly the karma you deserve for sleeping with my ex-husband."
The Thanksgiving dinners at that house must be a literal war zone. Speaking of blurry boundaries and terrible decisions, we have a bizarre reality TV crossover event happening right now. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives star Jessie Draper, who is currently navigating her own messy divorce, is now publicly dating Marciano Brunet from the show Vanderpump Villa.
Marciano went on a podcast this week and dropped a very contradictory soundbite. He explicitly admitted to the host that he is falling in love with Jessie. But in the exact same breath, he made sure to note that they are strictly not exclusive.
Why would he say that out loud?
He essentially acknowledged on a hot mic that she is free to hook up with other people because she isn't emotionally ready for a committed relationship.
And how did Jessie respond to this podcast clip? She jumped into the comment section and called him her, quote, little green flag. Babes, a man who loudly declares he is falling in love with you while simultaneously accepting that you aren't exclusive is not a green flag.
It is not a green flag at all.
It is a massive neon warning sign of emotional instability. It is a choice, and it's a bad one.
It is the glorification of low expectations. But honestly, Jessie's romantic delusions pale in comparison to the much darker co-parenting drama currently consuming her Mormon Wives co-star, Taylor Frankie Paul.
Yes, this situation is escalating rapidly. Taylor has reportedly blocked her ex-husband, Tate Paul, on all social media platforms.
And this drastic move stems entirely from the escalating tension with a man named Cruz Eaton. Cruz is the current roommate of Taylor's other ex-boyfriend, Dakota. During a recent live stream, Cruz deliberately quoted a highly threatening Bible verse.
What did he say?
He recited a passage stating that it would be better for someone to drown in the depths of the sea than to lead a little one astray.
Taylor immediately interpreted this, rightfully so in my opinion, as a direct, veiled threat against her and her young son. She panicked and posted a message saying, in case I ever go missing, this is who watches and lives with my child. She's terrified of this man's proximity to her family.
And amidst this very public, very alarming accusation of a potential threat, how does her ex-husband, Tate, respond? He jumps into the public comment section to undermine her. Typical.
He declared that his co-parenting relationship with Taylor has been peaceful for the most part, but pointedly added that the last few months has been not so. He used a moment where the mother of his child was expressing genuine fear to publicly criticize her co-parenting skills.
It is so gross. He publicly threw her under the bus during a crisis, which rightfully prompted the block. It's a very sad, very public deterioration of a family unit that is playing out in the comment sections. But unfortunately, the absolute darkest, most toxic wasteland of a family unit right now goes to Kim Zolciak and Kroy Bierman.
The accusations flying back and forth in their endless divorce proceedings have officially escalated from sheer financial ruin to horrifying allegations of severe abuse and neglect.
I am emotionally sickened by the details emerging from these legal documents. In the newest filings, Kim is officially accusing Kroy of physical abuse.
It's really bad. She claims that during a screaming match, Kroy literally threw one of their teenage sons over a piece of furniture. Furthermore, she claims Kroy is constantly bringing multiple different women into the marital home, and she states the children have actively complained to her about overhearing Kroy having incredibly loud sex with his new girlfriend down the hall.
The environment sounds fundamentally traumatic. Furthermore, Kim's legal filings claim that the children are constantly contacting her while they are legally in Kroy's custody. She alleges they are texting her, begging for food because they are hungry, or pleading for basic medicine when they are sick because he is neglecting them.
And the part that makes my blood boil is Kim alleging that the court-appointed guardian ad litem, the person supposed to protect the kids, continually sides with Kroy. Kim claims the guardian dismissed the physical altercation over the couch simply because the son is a teenager and the abuse did not leave visible marks.
That is a staggering failure of the system.
It is horrifying. to think about those kids who grew up on camera, now trapped inside that mansion, while their parents ruthlessly destroy each other and burn their lives to the ground.
It is the grimmest reality check imaginable on the life cycle of reality TV fame. They started as a fun, quirky spin-off romance about a football player and a housewife. And a decade later, it has devolved into a literal nightmare scenario for their children. The cameras left, the money dried up, and all that remains is resentment and alleged abuse.
We desperately need a palate cleanser after that darkness. Let's end this recap with some pure, unadulterated, old-school fashion industry snark.
Oh, perfect. The legendary PR maven Kelly Cutrone has entered the chat, and she chose violence.
Yes, she did. Kelly went on a podcast to absolutely destroy her former America's Next Top Model colleague, Jay Manuel. For context, Jay recently wrote a book that was essentially a thinly veiled, highly critical fictional attack on Tyra Banks, and he has been doing press tours, continually complaining about his time on the show.
Kelly did not hold back. She called Jay's current behavior disgusting. She pointed out the brutal truth of the industry, which is that Tyra Banks literally fed and raised Jay Manuel.
She made him.
She gave him his career. Kelly accused Jay of being deeply complicit in creating whatever toxic environment he is now retroactively complaining about. She essentially said he happily cashed the checks for years, enforced the rules, and is now playing the victim for book sales.
It's old-school reality TV warfare, babes. Kelly Cutrone will always defend the hand that fed her. It is about loyalty in an industry that has none. And honestly, that brings us to the end of our massive Friday gossip dump. I need to take a physical breath.
We covered a lot of ground today.
We just covered so much ground, from the sheer mind-boggling delusion of Dort Kemsley's luxury spending amidst a foreclosure to the absolute madness of the reality TV landscape right now.
If there's a connective tissue running through all of these stories today, from the frantic Love Island thruples twisting in the wind to Lil Wayne sliding into the teen mom DMs, it is the desperate, scrambling pursuit of relevance, regardless of the personal, financial, or familial cost.
It is deeply chaotic, and we absolutely live for it. But now, we turn the conversation over to you, the Snark Squad. We have 3 core questions for you to answer in the comments today. Number 1, what was the absolute wildest story of the day for you? Was it the Mama June threesome divorce, or Lil Wayne trying to fly out Rachel Beaver?
Number 2, and please be honest, have you ever fully convinced yourself that you were a qualified health and wellness influencer after consuming one single healthy meal?
I know I have. The avocado changed me. And number 3, are we making any actual progress in rec basketball? Or are we simply participating in an aesthetic exercise at this point? Let us know in the comments.
And as always, a quick reminder to the squad. Please follow the show, subscribe on your preferred platform, and leave a review. But most importantly, share this breakdown with your messiest friend. They desperately need this information to survive the weekend.
Have an amazing Friday, babes. Stay messy, stay nosy, and we'll see you tomorrow for more chaos. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final thought based on everything we unraveled today. When that metaphorical slow-burning fuse is gone and the blast radius of a reality star scandal hits the blogs overnight, is it actually the public that demands the explosion? Or have these stars simply forgotten how to exist outside the blast zone? Think about it. See you tomorrow.